to go. Hurts. Deep shot. Hold in, Devontae.
Sure.
And before the press conferences even start. I mean, we could talk for 45 minutes just about how atrocious the defense is.
He's just picking the big guys. Jordan Mailata, he's huge. He'll be good later on. Josh Sweat, he's tall as hell and strong. Let's get him. We'll figure him out. It's working.
Good morning, everybody. It's Monday morning. It's trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, follow. Make sure you jump over to YouTube if you want to get your comments in. It's Overreaction Monday, you know, my favorite day of the week. So if you want to get reactions in so we can talk about them, head over to the YouTube page. I guess that's the best place to go. And drop us your overreactions, and we'll get into them all as we break down the big Eagles win against the Broncos yesterday. I'm Phil Stiefel, joined by Jeremy Horwath. We are brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's grooming products. Use promo code TRENDING at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. You won't be disappointed. Jeremy, how you doing this morning?
Fantastic. I got to go to sleep after a nice Eagles win. I feel great. Huge win. And I'm just excited to get right into it and talk Eagles for so long in this episode.
Eagles Monday is so much easier after a win, is it not?
Oh,
Waking up
gosh,
to do a
so
show
much
Monday
easier.
morning, so much easier after a win.
So much better.
I don't want to hear about the moral victories last week. That still sucked Monday morning. This week, a big win. I'm happy, and I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, so, I mean, it's Overreaction Monday. So your first takeaway, you know, what would be your biggest overreaction or biggest takeaway from yesterday's Eagles win? Again, 30-13 over the Broncos.
I mean, the biggest overreaction is in Jalen Hurts. I have a lot more confidence in Jalen Hurts. I don't know a better way to word it as of right now.
Well, the overreaction would be that Jalen Hurts is the franchise quarterback of this team.
Right. Yes.
That's the overreaction comment to yesterday.
That's a huge one. So yeah, something like Jalen Hurts has finally figured it out. I still think that's even an overreaction. But yesterday he did figure it out. He was doing just a lot of things right. Even the deep ball to Quez Watkins, it was a dot. It was right on the money, and Quez just missed it. I mean, Jalen Hurts was doing everything right yesterday. So if he stays playing like that, I love it. And hey, he could be a franchise quarterback if he keeps on playing like this. Let's hope so.
I mean, I would say just as much as that's an overreaction, Nick Sirianni having figured it out already. Is that an overreaction? Probably. You know, as we get into the real talk about the game, you know, there's a lot we can, you know, break down the nuances of it. But on instant reaction, Jalen Hurts had a great game, but so did Nick Sirianni. I mean, the last 3 weeks, you just see a steady progression from Detroit to last week to the week after to last week. You know, his play calling, you know, his game plan, you know, sticking to it and making the slight minor adjustments. I mean, you can't beat it. I mean, I think he's showing, you know, overreaction style. He's showing, you know, that he's an NFL head coach.
Yeah, and like even what I saw some stats show up on the screen yesterday during the game, and it said the last 2 weeks or the last 3 weeks maybe, I forget it was 2 or 3, but they led the league in rushing attempts, rushing yards, and rushing touchdowns. Now though I know that was very inflated because of the Detroit game, but still it just shows that we just keep on running the ball and running the ball and running the ball. We're fitting the run game into this game, and look what's happening. We're running the ball. And now Jalen Hurts has the opportunity to have better pass plays.
You look at the box score from yesterday. I cannot tell you the last time I saw two rushers for the Eagles, both with over 80 yards. Howard, 12 for 83. Boston Scott, 11 for 81. Not only are they running the ball and staying committed, what did we talk about all year and all offseason on every show on DSM Media? This offensive line is built to run block. Howard averaged 6.9 yards per carry. Boston Scott, 7.4 yards per carry. Jordan Howard last year with the Dolphins was averaging like 1.4 yards a carry. That's why he was cut. That's why he was on our practice squad, because we just thought Jordan Howard was this guy that can't get any penetration to the offensive line. Look at that. That's 7 yards a carry from both of your running backs. I cannot tell you the last time I saw two 80-plus yard rushers on both of them, 11 and 12 rushes respectively. That's insane.
Yeah, and it kind of leads back to my overreaction from last week saying that the Eagles don't need Miles Sanders. Do we really need him? You know what I mean?
brought it up on Eagles Aftermath. The postgame show yesterday with El Parcero was that, what happens to this upcoming week against the Saints? There's a good chance Miles Sanders plays. How does that affect that running back rotation and the play call? Because obviously when Miles Sanders is here, there was no running game, no run plays called. What's going to happen next week with Miles Sanders? I have no idea, because Boston Scott, Jordan Howard have both proven that they're doing a hell of a job now that they're being given the opportunities.
I mean, they're not going to take away Miles. He's still going to be the leading back, but how are they really going to – I don't know. What I really think is going to happen is Boston Scott is really going to step away. And, yeah, just like what Drew says here, you're going to have Miles Sanders as your elusive back. You're kind of just going to swap out Miles for Boston Scott. He's going to get all of what Boston Scott's getting right now. And Jordan Howard's still going to get his power back numbers, where we just want to get a couple yards, just shove him right in the middle of the offensive line, get 5 yards. I think that's really going to be that Jordan Howard move. But Miles Sanders is going to be that guy where he's going to get the most attempts. I would hope so. He's still the best running back on this roster. Even though I say we don't need Miles Sanders, I would still rather Miles Sanders. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm sticking out.
And you're going to see even less at Kenneth Gainwell. Absolutely.
Exactly.
He'll be completely out. You'll probably dress for running back still going forward, because they're so short at wide receiver and tight end and spots like that. So you probably dress for it. And I think we saw it. I know I saw one play specifically. It may have been a couple hours I didn't notice, but Boston Scott was lined up in the wide receiver, slot for a bubble screen at one point in the game. He got a short catch, short gain on it. But maybe you see Gainwell or Boston Scott, flank out as a wide receiver while Miles Sanders or Jordan Howard are in the backfield. Kind of create some more, deception for the defenses to have to worry about. Because honestly, our wide receiver core, biggest overreaction. Here's an overreaction Monday thing. We all want defense next year, the first 3 picks of that draft, those 3 first rounders, right? Overreaction Monday, we still need a wide receiver, a top tier wide receiver. Devontae Smith, amazing. Surely our number 1 guy. Quez Watkins developing for sure. Can be that outside speed threat, could be a slot guy, but we need a 6'3" wide receiver. Someone that can go up and get the ball, and we don't have it right now. So whether it's in the draft or in free agency, they have to go out and get a wide receiver, because right now you've got those two. You got Reagor, who had 1 run for -8 yards, 1 catch for 6 yards. I mean, week in and week out, Jalen Reagor's putting up, terrible performances week in.
Worse and worse.
He's not in his rookie year anymore. He's got 15, 20 games under his belt now. That's bad. You got Ortega-Whiteside, who hasn't had a catch all year, I don't think. You got Greg Ward, who can't sniff the field. You need another wide receiver for sure. This wide receiver crew is still so void of talent. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, and we've been leaning on Devontae Smith. And I saw you say it yesterday. The hero ball from Jalen Hurts to Devontae Smith is why we're winning games. You're right on the spot there. If Devontae Smith
can't do that forever.
Exactly. You can't. This can't be an Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams thing. I don't know how they get away with it, and they've been doing it for so long, of them two just destroying every team and teams not being able to figure it out. That's great and everything. That doesn't happen with anyone else. Like, we can't keep having Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith. That's not going to stay forever. It's really not.
I mean, and you could even see it later in the game. They were, they switched to the Broncos, that is, to a zone defense. There was that play where, Jalen Hurts only had 1 interception, but there was another play that was almost picked off that Devontae Smith
should have been.
Back. And I talked about on the post-game show yesterday, there were 3 different moments in the game where I saw Hurts once, Boston Scott once, and Devontae Smith make small little plays that are actually huge plays, because it shows discipline. It shows focus on the situation at hand. And Devontae Smith, realizing he had no chance at catching that ball and turning into a defensive player and breaking it up, that's a huge moment that doesn't go into the box score, doesn't get noticed as often, but it was a huge play from Devontae Smith. And but that there shows that the defenses were adjusting to that it's all Devontae Smith. They have no other weapon. Once Dallas Goedert went out of the game, that there was no other opportunity. There was nowhere else for Jalen Hurts to go with the football. So
yeah, he just tried going to that main target. And even though I did say Jalen Hurts did have a really good game, which he did, them couple passes were bad. That interception terrible. Again, that play where Devontae Smith, when he turned into a DB, I was screaming that the entire time too. I'm like, Devontae had to be a defensive back there against Patrick Surtain. Like, what is going on?
And he had that big brace on his arm, and on that broken up play, he landed really hard on that braced arm. I was like, oh man, my instant reaction was, he's going to get hurt there and miss a few games. Then we're really screwed there.
Yeah.
So I just hit on his name for a second there. Let's go back a second to early in the game. First off, Jalen Hurts, a great step and slide in the pocket, didn't take off, and found a crossing Dallas Goedert for a huge 28-yard pass across the middle, which the play itself of Jalen Hurts on that play was amazing. I mean, the fact that he stayed, he went through his reads, he let Dallas Goedert get open. Great play from him. But unfortunately, Dallas Goedert took a elbow, shoulder to the head, and no foul was called. No penalty was called. And why? I mean, it was pretty clear. I didn't need the replay to see it. It was a pretty blatant headshot there. And again, it just the refereeing, we talked about it last week. Refereeing in all sports is so inconsistent. I mean, did you see it right away, or did you need to see a replay to?
No, I definitely saw it right away. It was very noticeable. There was a couple calls that I saw during that game where the refs, I'm like, guys, like, what are we doing? And I know that there was also another play where I think it was Boston Scott got hit. Right, it was like right before he went out of bounds, and we all thought he was out of bounds, and he still got hit hard. And we're like,
he actually, by the announcers, it almost seemed like the announcers were covering for the refs because while his foot was still. No, Boston Scott had committed. It's kind of like when a quarterback slides, and so he's giving himself up. Boston Scott had already given himself up,
exactly,
and was already stepping out. If that was Dalvin Cook or a star in the league, that gets flagged 110% of the time because Boston Scott's a fourth running back on a team. No fouls called on it. The inconsistencies are still every week piling up more and more.
Exactly. Like you see, if this happened where we're not calling it for anyone, I wouldn't be upset at all. Like if that was happening, if this happens all the time and it's like, oh, well, we let that go now. Okay, cool. Then I wouldn't have been mad about the call.
Right.
But when it happens other times and we see the call being happened and then it doesn't happen for us, that's just frustrating. It's frustration. And he did get hit really hard and he thought, he was out of bounds and everything. Whatever. His foot was still in bounds.
I actually am more frustrated by that and the Dallas Goedert missed calls than I am with the taunting. Everybody hates the taunting penalty, right? We all agree. Everyone, football players, fans, announcers, everybody agrees it's over the top. But when Avonte Maddox got called for one early in the game, I was like, you know what? I'm not mad at the call. I'm mad at Avonte Maddox because it's not week 1. It's not week 2. This rule's now been in effect for 10 weeks. It sucks. We all agree it'll probably get changed. But you have to be smarter knowing it's not first week. You've got 10 weeks to figure out, don't step up over top of a player. Don't step towards the sideline of your opposing team. I'm more upset at the missed calls and the taunting calls because I expect the taunting calls now, and I expect the players to be better. So the missed personal fouls like that really, really frustrates me because all they talk about is protecting the players and making the game safer. And then you have 2 plays like that are blatant that, foul should have been called on, and the refs don't throw the laundry there.
That Avonte Maddox taunting call, I remember seeing it. Like I remember seeing the flag get called, but I didn't see like what he actually did. What is it?
He kind of stepped up and over he kind of stepped. It was on the Broncos sideline, the tackle, and he kind of stepped over or on top of the opposing player's body and kind of like flexed a little bit towards the Broncos sideline. So he was stepping towards the line or the sideline and stepping over or onto. He kind of pulled like a Tyronn Lue. Allen Iverson situation, but he did it, flexing towards the Broncos line or sideline. So, I mean, it was based off of the new rule. It was clearly a taunting.
So he knows better.
Yeah, he absolutely has to. And I know people are like, oh, well, the energy and the emotions of the game, that instant emotion, you can't take that away from them. And I agree, but it's week 10. This rule's been in effect for 10 weeks now. You got to know better and you got to do better on it. You just can't let, stupid penalties like that happen when your defense is already, soft.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And again, I hate the taunting call as much as anyone else, but just like you said, this has been going on for a while now. All year this has been happening. Avonte Maddox knew better. I wished he was able to keep on doing that. Like that would hype me. If I saw that, I'd be like, yeah, like Avonte, like do your thing. You know what I mean? But now I gotta be like, Avonte, chill. Like you can't do that. It sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. Another play I want to talk about, a little play that was a really strong play. Drew bringing up, show Hurts more Russell Wilson film. Well, not yesterday's Russell Wilson film
No.
because Russell Wilson stunk yesterday. No way. But there was another little play. We brought up the Devontae Smith, breaking up a play. Jalen Hurts yesterday, late in the game, ran on. They're in the red zone. He ran out to the right-hand side of the field, knew he wasn't going to get the first down. Instead of going out of bounds, he slid. Okay. First off, that was a heads-up play by him, something we talked about, Miles Sanders not doing early in the season. But the thing that I want to bring up is not just the heads-up play of him staying in bounds. It's a little thing that you see progress and growth on a young player. Really great. But he slid. And I talked about it briefly. I want to talk about it again now. Jalen Hurts takes some massive hits. He's a running quarterback. He's going to take hits. But Russell Wilson has survived. This is the first time Russell Wilson missed any games in his career because he's a similar style player as Jalen Hurts is. At least he was early in his career. But he knew how to protect his body. Yeah. He would run the ball, slide. He would run, and I don't want to say he didn't slide all the time, but when he would go to take a hit, he would protect his body a little bit. Yesterday, again, Jalen Hurts took 2 or 3 hits that I can't believe he didn't get knocked out.
Huge ones.
Huge, massive hits from big guys. And Jalen Hurts is not a large quarterback. He's not that Carson Wentz big build body guy. He needs to learn how to protect himself. And he needs to watch some Russell Wilson film on how he protected himself his whole career because whether Jalen Hurts, overreaction Monday, he's the quarterback of the future. Realistic thought, we still got to learn a lot about Jalen Hurts. But if he wants to have a long career in the NFL, he's got to learn to not take those hits 4 or 5 times a game like that. It's just there's no way you can have a long career.
No, when I was seeing them hits go down, I just I remember screaming at the TV like Jalen, you got to stay down. Like you can't keep taking these hits. I mean, we thought just you brought the comparison to Carson Wentz. We thought Carson Wentz was that guy where he's 6'5", 220 pounds, however big he is. And we're like, okay, he can take some hits. Like, I don't want him to, but when he gets hit, I wasn't like worried. I was like, oh, he's fine. Like, this guy's huge. Like, he's pretty much a linebacker. Like, I'm not really worried about Carson getting hurt. And he still tore his ACL. And he would still get that back problem when he got hit in the back. So them problems happened, even with these big guys that you wouldn't expect to get hurt that easily. So you need Jalen Hurts, a couple inches shorter, weighing a lot less. I know he's athletic and everything, but it's worrisome. It's definitely worrisome. He needs to learn how to slide. Get some baseball guys in there. I know that for the football teams do that a lot. Get some baseball guys in there. Teach guys how to slide, and then just teach Jalen the right time to slide, which damn near should be all the time.
It's not teaching them to slide. It's teaching them the right times to slide. When not to push forward and to dive for that extra thing. Yeah. It's more of a mental thing than it is like certain players like Donovan couldn't slide. He just couldn't do it. You know what I mean? And they brought in baseball players and he still couldn't do it. Jalen Hurts can do it. He just needs to learn the right moments to do it. We're going to get into the defense in a second, Drew, but the Maddox can be a pro. We said it all off season. Moving him to the slot, signing Steven Nelson, best move for him. This year, relearning the slot, getting adjusted to it. You could see that he's meant to play the slot. He's having a really good season. I think next year, I don't know about all pro, but he's definitely up in his game and his ranks and all. I want to touch on one more thing on the offense, and we could talk about the defense. And I talked about it yesterday as well on the post-game show. Jalen Hurts, and we've talked about it on every show and every DSM show and every podcast talks about Jalen Hurts, the leader, and how great he is. And there's 2 big moments. One, obviously, you brought it up, the Quez Watkins drop, huge touchdown, big momentum swing right there. Could have been even bigger. The first thing he did after that play, went to the sideline, went right up to Quez Watkins, slapped his hand and been like, yeah, dude, it's all right, the leader in him. But this game, the first drive of the game, the Eagles marched right down the field. Literally no hesitation. Then they stalled in the red zone, kicked the field goal up to 3-0. Defense comes out, does a 3-and-out, gives up -1 yard on that first defensive drive. That offense could have really lost its momentum, its mojo, its confidence. You go right down the field and you stall, you kick a field goal. That kind of deflates you as an offense. But Jalen Hurts' leadership, and he was on the sideline after that first drive, pumping up the offensive line, pumping up the running backs, the wide receivers. And what they do, they march right down the field. Big touchdown pass to Devontae Smith. And that shows so much leadership and maturity that he didn't let that one stall of a drive affect the rest of the game plan or thing. And I think it's a big deal because I really think it wouldn't have been any big deal. It would have been part of the course. After that field goal, that the next drive for the Eagles, it's a 3-and-out. You know what I mean? let's go back to the RPOs that don't work. Let's go back to whatever that doesn't work and whatever. And he kept them focused, motivated, and going. Jalen Hurts, the leader, is already an all-pro in my mind.
Right, and this is something that we kind of seen from Jalen Hurts for a long time now. When we talked about even back with the Carson Wentz Jalen Hurts comparisons, when Wentz was on our team and everything, something that you'd argue if you were a Jalen Hurts guy was, well, what about the leadership? Carson Wentz doesn't have this locker room or this team under his belt anymore, but Jalen Hurts, they've already seen. They saw him in college. They already seen him when he was even a backup. He was still doing things, showing leader type roles. Yep. So right when Wentz got traded and Hurts was the guys were in the locker room were like, well, he was already pretty much a leader. Like, we're not worried about that. So that's something that definitely was a plus already with Jalen Hurts. That kind of like came with the package, and that's something I was never worried about with him. It was kind of just a lot of other things. So the leadership is definitely huge. If you don't have your team under your belt and, hyping them up and everything, it's definitely worrisome. It's a lot harder to play the game of football. But when you have that leader role, it's huge. It's huge. Yeah. And again, he showed, just like you said, showed it a couple times this game, even early in the game. And he kept it going the rest of the game. All these guys love Hurts. So he's doing a really great job in that aspect.
What if Hurts did finally get it right? What's it mean for the rest of the season? Well, it's honest. Honestly, my overreaction Monday is, if this is the real team that we've seen the last couple of weeks, where they're 2-1 against the Lions and the Broncos win and the close loss to the Chargers, what's it mean? It means overreaction Monday. It means they're making the playoffs. Yeah. It means they're going to get to 9 or 10 wins. They've got a super soft schedule after the Saints. The Saints game, we'll get into it later this week. It's going to be a tough game, but after that, I mean, it's a super simple. They can easily win 5 in a row against the Giants, Jets, and Washington. So what it means is that we're a playoff team. And if you look at 9 wins, definitely gets that 6th or 7th wild card spot.
Oh, yeah.
So, we've already got a win over the Panthers. So that helps that tiebreaker. We've already got a win over the Falcons. They're ahead of us in the standings right now. So honestly, what does it mean? It means we could still make the playoffs, which, this is a rebuilding, retooling year. Yes, it's not the year to worry about the playoffs, but we still want playoff football. There's still nothing more exciting than playoff football. So once you get in the dance, anything can happen. So that's what that means.
No, yeah, definitely. That 7th wild card spot is wide open. We're actually right there. I was watching Colin Cowherd the other day, and he's like, I'm looking at this 7th spot, and he's like, I could even count in the Eagles. I'm like, I don't see why the Eagles can't go on a hot streak and just take that 7th spot. He's like, anything is really possible with this 7th spot. So if we play like we did yesterday for the rest of the year, this team does have a chance of going to the playoffs, and I would love it. I wouldn't care as much about the draft pick. If I had to see another playoff game, I'd rather a playoff game than a little bit of a higher draft pick.
Yeah. Can we win a playoff game? I mean, I doubt it. If you're the 7th seed, you're going to go up against the Packers or Arizona, whoever's the 2nd seed in their territory. Yeah, the odds are not in our favor. But you know what? I say it all the time in all sports. Playoff experience is invaluable. You get a young team that makes the playoffs in that last playoff spot in any sport. Even if you just go right out after the first round, it doesn't matter. That experience of that playoffs is massive, and it's huge for the player to learn and grow. So it doesn't matter win or lose. But to do this, to make it, I'm starting to build some confidence. It's not even an overreaction. I'm starting to build some confidence with the offense. We've seen now 3 weeks of really strong progression. And I know we only gave up 13 points to the Broncos yesterday, but I'm still getting an uneasy feeling from the defense, even though we only gave up those 13 points. I still think the Broncos moved the ball pretty well yesterday, especially inside the 20s. I mean, they still averaged over 5 yards carry running. Our run defense still not great.
Yeah.
And I know Teddy Bridgewater didn't complete 80% of his passes, but while the game was close, he was completing a pretty high percentage. And then after that touchdown by Darius Slay, which we can talk about as well, that was a huge, huge moment in the game. But after that is when his completion percentage, because he had to start stretching the field, and Teddy Bridgewater is not a stretch the field type guy.
No.
So that's where that came into play. But what were your thoughts on the defense yesterday?
Again, I think you kind of nailed it. We let up 13 points, and that's great and everything. But you could still see the problems that the whole team was having. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater was still doing his thing, just like you said, with the small completions. How Teddy Bridgewater is as a quarterback, when he has a lead, he can just keep them little passes going and drive down the field and just get a little bit of more points just to keep the lead. And we got the lead, and we kind of showed who Teddy Bridgewater really is. He can't throw a deep ball. He doesn't really do any of that. He really has to play
ahead. Did you see
ahead.
that deep ball that he had? What's his name? Wide open on the top of the field. He overthrew that guy by 20 yards.
Exactly.
I mean,
he can't.
You always say, why didn't the wide receiver lay out for a ball? Well, nobody's laying out for that.
No.
I mean, that thing was. Yeah, that was awful.
It was bad. So Teddy can't throw a deep ball. So again, I hate doing it because I want to show more confidence in the defense and just whoever I'm really talking about at this point. But I'm really going to give more of the blame to the Broncos offense than I am to the Eagles defense. We put them in a position, but this is something good for us. We put them in a position to where they couldn't be their best offense, but that was more so because of our offense, not because of our defense.
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, the blocked field goal, Kayvon Wallace, blocking a chip shot, that's a momentum swing right there. Yes, Davian Taylor and TJ Edwards, great games yesterday, which they had bad games last week, good games week. There's still some inconsistencies there.
Oh yeah.
And yes, we're seeing some growth from our linebackers. Still need a linebacker in the draft in the first round.
Matter
I'm not
what.
saying it, but if TJ Edwards and Davian Taylor can continue to progress, and then you go get a stud linebacker, you've got a core there. So the strip of Melvin Gordon where Darius Slay ran back for a touchdown, Melvin Gordon's not a fumbler,
No.
So that was a huge momentum swing where, again, they were driving down the field. If that strip doesn't happen, maybe they score there. So there were a lot of points left on the field by the Broncos because of, not necessarily all because of the defense. The blocked field goal was special teams. So, I really, really think we really need to really focus on the defense this offseason, because if we make the playoffs or not, whatever happens the rest of the season, it's going to come down onto the defense. And Jonathan Gannon, I still have zero faith with that super zone or soft zone play off the receiver defense that he's playing. It's just not good. It's got to stop. And I don't know why he can't adjust a little bit.
It's so frustrating. And he's probably gonna get some confidence after this game. Like, hey,
we only gave up 13.
Yeah, 13 points. My defense did great. I'm going to keep on doing this even more now. Oh, it's going to be so frustrating.
Yeah,
it's going to keep on happening this year. If you're watching the games, don't expect a change. I'm not expecting any adjustments at all. Just like what you said, I believe it was on sometime last week's show. You said if Jonathan Gannon doesn't switch up the defense, I wouldn't be surprised if we win less than 2 games.
Yeah, that was my overreaction last week.
That was your overreaction last week, right? And honestly,
overreactions are just overreactions.
No, of course. No, but still, I'm surprised we even won yesterday with that defense being the way it was. It's because the offense did so good. It's not because anything with Gannon. It's not because that soft coverage finally worked. It still wasn't even working. It worked because the only way you play soft coverage is if they're going for like a deep ball and everything like that, because we can that's where we're at. You know what I mean? So it's really just not going to work out well.
Yeah, it's not. And you know what? We got a little bit of pressure, but the pressure did not start coming till the second half. Dirk Barnett had a sack. Fletcher Cox wasn't even in the box score in the first half. I called him out in the halftime show. So I'll take full credit for him showing up with a tackle for a loss, getting some pressure in the middle in the second half, because
he was listening.
I called him out. He was listening at halftime in the locker to my halftime show. So he's like, I better show up here in the second half. Javon Hargrave made some decent plays. I'm not actually like most, pissed at Dirk Barnett for the personal foul. I think it was another one of those close calls. Dirk Barnett has a bad reputation, so that helmet to the chest, it just kind of clipped his. If that's somebody else, that probably doesn't get called as a personal foul. So I'm not as upset about that play specifically. I mean, there were definitely some positives you could take from the defense. Like I said, Avonte Maddox outside the taunting foul had a really good game. Davian Taylor and TJ Edwards, really good games. Still think, Harris and McLeod, not so good. Still not enough pressure up front. But my fear, and it's an overreaction, but my fear is that, Jonathan Gannon gets a little release from that short leash that he had, and they give him a little bit longer of a leash because they'll just see the box score 13 points. Like, all right, he must have done well. Let's extend that leash a little bit longer.
Yeah, and maybe he has some more things planned. I don't really know. If this is really him, like what he wants to do, I can't imagine the defensive coordinator being told what to do. especially by anyone like Nick Sirianni. But Nick Sirianni is being told what to do with the head coach position.
Yeah.
But again, Howie would not be a defensive guy. He just loves his quarterbacks. So he's not going to be out there and be telling Gannon what to do. I'm expecting this is all Gannon.
Yeah.
But hey, you never know. You never fully know what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, I mean, I think we could wrap up Eagles talk there. I mean, any other overreactions? I mean, I'm a little concerned about the offensive line a little bit.
Oh,
You know,
with Kelsey.
Dickerson and Kelsey both got hurt. I mean, they both came in, but I think that was more by necessity than anything else. We really need Brandon Brooks back soon, just to help the depth of the offensive line a little bit, because you saw it when Suapeda had to come in for Dickerson for a few plays. He was okay, not great. When what's his name, Nate Herbig had to play center on one play, it was a low snap instantly, and then Kelsey came right back in.
Kelsey was
play.
like, "Nope."
Yeah,
He's like,
dude,
we're not losing this
I got
game.
one arm. I'm gonna go back out there and snap that ball. So I'm a little concerned there. So we definitely need to get Brandon Brooks back and hope that Dickerson and Kelsey are good to go. Just have a light practice week for those guys this week, and they'll be fine, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, overall, I honestly, injury-wise, the only thing that concerns me is Dallas Goedert and the concussion issue. If that was a serious concussion, our tight ends. I mean, Stahl had 2 catches for 6 yards.
Yeah.
And then Tyree Jackson, everybody was hyping him up. He was the next Paul Turner in training camp, but he obviously wasn't. He was on the field a few times yesterday, but didn't even get a target. So, we really need Dallas. I wrote it down. The loss of Zach Ertz, because we traded him away, if Dallas Goedert misses time, is going to be the biggest loss, because now you don't have that security blanket tight end over the middle for Jalen Hurts. So
yeah, and that's always his favorite target. That is a quarterback's favorite target. Is their good tight end.
Now. And you see Jalen Hurts sliding in the pocket, going through his progressions. That's when you have, that's why you have a great tight end, is for that. So
exactly.
Any other final thoughts on that game?
No, I think we'll really
talk Saints at the end of the week and all.
Right.
My overreaction is I am super hyped. I'm super pumped.
Yeah.
And that, we're gonna win out. That's the overreaction. We're winning out.
Winning out. Yeah.
That's even a little over the top for an overreaction Monday statement. But we're gonna make the playoffs if we keep playing like this and keep progressing.
Yes,
the future is bright for Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts if we can continue to progress, and if Howie doesn't screw up and make some solid draft picks again next year. This team's on the upward trend. Here the last 2-3 weeks. So
I'm with you.
All right, let's go around the rest of the NFL, because the one thing I said yesterday, and I talked with on our fantasy football show, is just how unpredictable the NFL has become this year.
Yeah,
and you look at these scores this week. Detroit, Pittsburgh ties. Detroit couldn't win even without Big Ben. They had a tie. Pittsburgh still, even without Big Ben, couldn't beat Detroit. The winless team. You look at Mac Jones putting up 45 against Cleveland. Carolina beating Arizona. Washington beating Tampa Bay. I mean, I don't know which one you want to talk about first, but I mean, the unpredictability of the NFL this year is insane.
I think the most surprising would have been Tampa Bay losing. With Arizona, I believe Kyler and DeAndre were both out, right?
They were.
So
but they won with both of them out last week.
Right. And I've always been a guy that I am not a Cliff Kingsbury guy. So again, I'm going to put more blame on him. And I know he had a good week last week without his guys, but it's going to get figured out real soon. But that Tampa Bay Washington game, it kind of reminded me of last year when Pittsburgh was 11-0 and the people that stopped their great streak was Washington. And then Washington started going off and they made the playoffs. Well, now they just beat Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's been on fire. They have been one of the best teams in the league. And of course, it's Tom Brady. And Washington was definitely not supposed to win this game, just like they weren't supposed to last year. Is this supposed to be? Is this going to be another streak of Washington going off towards the end of the year? I hope not. I hope. Well,
first off, shout out to Chase Young. I mean, that's so sad to see. A guy of his talent tears ACL. When you play Washington, you want to beat the best.
Yeah.
And Chase Young is done for the year. Who knows how he'll respond to that coming back? But yeah, I hope that's not the case. I will say last year when Washington beat Pittsburgh, I had actually called it on my previous network when they were 8-0 on their bye week. I said Pittsburgh was the most overrated 8-0 team in the history of the NFL. And I think they went 3-8 the rest of the season after that, or not 3-8, 3-5 the rest of the year after that. Lost early in the playoffs. That Pittsburgh is like just clinging and holding on hope. You know, they keep running out these older guys and, you know, hoping that Ben Roethlisberger, and he's just good enough to keep them, you know, respectable. But they need a reboot there in Pittsburgh for sure, in my opinion. They need to strip it down. Whether you keep Tomlin or not, they need to strip it down. Let Ben Roethlisberger retire, build off of Najee Harris, you know, and stuff like that. But yeah, the Washington, I don't know. I think that was more Tampa Bay losing than it was
I think so
Washington
too.
winning.
Yeah,
Because Tyler Heineke, I mean, he's a nice story, but he's not a great quarterback.
no, he's not.
Antonio Gibson, I mean, he's a really good running back, but a little overhyped because of fantasy stats and stuff like
fantasy
that.
hyped him.
Scary Terry, I mean, he is a great wide receiver, but you know, they pretty much held him in check. I mean, if you look at it, you're missing Antonio Brown. Chris Godwin was banged up. He did play, but I mean, he had 57 yards only on 7 catches. That's not a Chris Godwin type game.
Right.
I'm going to say Tom Brady throwing 2 interceptions. How many times in his career has he really thrown 2 interceptions? I'm sure not many. So I'm going to say that was more Tampa playing poorly than it was Washington winning that game.
Yeah, probably. I'm just hoping that it's not going to be a confidence booster in Washington. Taylor Heineke, for some reason, just I don't know. He did play a great game yesterday. He played like really like that. That's the game I watched at 1:00. He played a good game yesterday. I don't understand why he's such a just like. He's like a wild player. Like he reminds me of like the Hunter Pence of the NFL. Like Hunter Pence was always moving and shaking something and just acting crazy. That's what Taylor Heineke reminds me of.
Okay.
He's so wild. And it's just like a weird situation. But sometimes it works and sometimes it just bites them. It bites them real quick. But yesterday, another great game out of Taylor Heineke. I had to pick him up in the fantasy in our DSM fantasy league because Kyler Murray wasn't playing. So I had Taylor Heineke starting against Scotty.
Okay.
Yesterday.
Yeah, that's a bold move right there. Bold move, Todd. So I want to touch on the fact that again, another NFL player, a couple NFL players from the game, but Najee Harris of Pittsburgh did not know a game could end in a tie. How do these football players keep saying they don't know games can end in a tie?
I don't
are they
know.
just BSing us, or are they really not realize that? And then he was quoted after the game saying, "Well, yeah, I was on the sideline, and somebody said that they thought it could go 3 overtimes. Someone else said they thought it could go 2 overtimes." What is going on with NFL players not realizing games can end in a tie?
You know,
it's not like it's a new rule.
Yeah, maybe when they were just playing football before, they just weren't like NFL watchers. They were just like, hey, I like playing football. I don't watch it. Maybe it was something like
maybe
that.
That's what it is. That's pretty insane. We all remember Donovan doing the same thing. The other game that surprised me the most, not the results, because I had Green Bay beating Seattle, but Seattle getting shut out. It's the first time they've been shut out since Russell Wilson's rookie year. And Russell Wilson, I know he said 100 times yesterday that the hand was fine, the finger was fine. But are we seeing the end, finally, of the Seattle dynasty that they were? And could a game like yesterday, and I know I'm going to be obnoxious, Russell Wilson to Philly, you know, obviously that's what I want. Is this kind of a trend? They're now 3-6, going to be where Russ finally wants out of Seattle? And is that Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll tandem done now?
Look, this is something that I even talked about on Saturday before this game happened. Was this Seahawks team is seriously bad. This Seahawks team is really bad. And we saw what happened when Russell Wilson was out, and I know it was Geno Smith, but not many quarterbacks can make this team even look decent. And it is hitting that point for Russell Wilson. He's going to ask out now. This team's getting shut out by that Green Bay team. And I know Green Bay is a top tier team in the NFL right now. Mm-hmm. But again, that is Russell Wilson. And if your team can't support Russell Wilson, and I know he looked bad regardless, but this is worrisome. And even Seattle's defense held up against Rodgers. So if they couldn't score any points, it's worrisome. Russ is going to get out of there. I think Russ is going to be completely fine. He is still a top tier quarterback.
He's only 32 years old.
Yeah, he's going to be. He's fine. I'm not worried about his play, but it shows how bad the Seahawks really are. And Chance over on What the Fuck with Me was not a fan of that. He was like, when Russ comes back, the Seahawks team is going to be a lot better, and I wouldn't be surprised if they take the 7th spot. I wasn't for it at all. I don't think Seattle has a chance to make the playoffs anymore. I didn't like it before this Packers game, but now the fact they got shut out that easily, I have no faith in Seattle going. I am not worried about them taking even our spot at all. That team just looks terrible.
All right. I mean, I agree with you 100% on that. So, and there's a lot of teams. It's all about trending in the NFL, you know, hence the name of the show.
Yes.
And Seattle's trending down. The Eagles are trending up. Minnesota's trending up. You know, win yesterday against San Diego or Los Angeles Chargers in LA. That's a good trend right there.
Yeah.
Carolina beating Arizona. They're going to trend. They're going to flounder in that middle right there. But I think in general, you look at the trends of these teams, and yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. I was not expecting New England to blow out Cleveland the way they did yesterday either. I still don't buy the Mac Jones hype. I just don't. Maybe it's because now I'm biased because I don't like how he injured a player last week and got no suspension, no fine, nothing on it. I just think that's, the NFL, taking care of Bill Belichick there. But New England, 45 points against Cleveland. Buffalo put up 45 against the Jets. I think it's going to be a dogfight, in the AFC East there on who wins that division.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And something else with the Jets real quick, Mike White, that ended real quick.
I was making fun of the fact that he sent his shirt and cleats to the Hall of Fame after that game.
Gosh.
People were saying he should have been a first-round talent now. Like, what? Come on now.
Mike White said himself, he was like, I should have been the first overall pick in my draft. In the 2018 draft, the one that Patrick Mahomes
was that with the year he was drafted?
Yeah.
I didn't even know. What year?
Patrick Mahomes, all of the Deshaun Watson, them guys, he should have been the first overall pick. And that was actually his game. Robert Saleh said this will be his game to decide if he's going to continue being the quarterback over Zach Wilson. They would have, if Mike White had a decent game, they were going to play him over Zach Wilson when he's back.
Ludicrous.
Their second overall pick. That is worrisome.
That is ludicrous. Robert Saleh, I mean, I wanted him as the Eagles head coach.
Yeah, so did I.
Everything you see going on in New York there with the Jets, I mean, yeah, he seems even more overmatched than Nick Sirianni or Dan Campbell out there in Detroit. At least Dan Campbell's got that team fighting and keeping most games close. You brought up Patrick Mahomes there. He put up 400 yards last night against the Raiders. Was that more the Raiders having a bad defense? Because I watched some of that game before I went to bed, not the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I still thought he looked a little rough in the pocket and rough throwing the ball. But 406 yards, 5 touchdowns. I mean, does that get them back trending in the right direction?
See, now this is coming off of all these Raiders news, with everything that's going on.
Right.
Their head coach, John Gruden, Henry Ruggs, and Damon Arnett, everything that's going on. So I'm not going to give the Chiefs too much credit,
right?
But it still was a divisional game, a big game, prime time, and they beat them.
And it puts them in first place, sole possession right now.
Exactly. So I still think the Chiefs are probably one of the better teams in the league. Mahomes was just taking time to figure it out. He still has to play that hero ball and everything. I really don't think it's going to stay this way. This Chiefs team, they have a lot of holes too, and they're in the most competitive division over there. They all are right there.
First place, they're 6-4. Last place is the Broncos at 5-5.
Exactly. So they are all around.
That's as tight of a division as you can get.
Exactly. So they probably will be the ones to figure it out and be like, hey, we're going to win this division because they're still the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is still their quarterback. And even though we don't like exactly what we're seeing of Patrick Mahomes, he's still one of the better quarterbacks in the league. They still have Andy Reid, one of the best head coaches in the league. They're going to figure it out. And it's maybe last night was the starting. And there's a chance it could be. Again, a huge divisional win during prime time. Yeah. There's no better time to figure it out than then.
All right, well, let's wrap this show up with a little Monday Night Football preview then.
Yeah.
So Monday Night Football tonight, you've got the Odell Beckham Jr. led Rams going to San Francisco to face the 49ers. I mean, first off, I don't even know if we touched on it or not because I think it actually didn't happen until Friday. Mm-hmm. They got lucky picking up OBJ. We can talk what we want about OBJ, but Robert Woods going down the day that OBJ shows up.
Is that a coincidence?
Yeah, I saw jokes of OBJ's dad and the gun. I saw, Nancy Kerrigan and, Tanya Harding memes out there about it and stuff like that. Man, I mean, the jokes are great. You never want to root for an injury, though, people.
No, not at all.
But, man, coincidental is one hell of a situation there because, no one saw that one happening right there.
No.
And he's going to dress and he's going to play tonight. Yeah. They're already talking about they're going to put him back there as a punt returner.
Wow.
Yeah. So OBJ is going to be a part of that offense. Van Jefferson does not dip down in the rankings anymore like we thought he would. How do we see the game playing out tonight?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was a blowout. Well, for the Rams, in my eyes.
Scotty needs a Debo night to beat you.
Scotty, you're winning no matter what. Don't even be worried. I had a terrible week. I had to take out D-Hop and Kyler. terrible week in the DSM league.
We're going to have to start bringing up on Monday mornings the DSM leagues, or Tuesday mornings the thing, and really start making fun of everybody.
Yeah, we'll start doing some updates over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, I could say I could see a huge blowout for the Rams. 49ers team does not look like what I expected. I actually had the 49ers winning that division before the year.
Wow.
I thought they were going to be fantastic. I loved it no matter who was that quarterback, more so Jimmy G, because Trey Lance is a little bit, whatever. But this Rams team is really good, and they only have – and I want to say they only got better, but Robert Woods getting injured, that's huge. It's huge because he has been there a great number 2 over there. But OBJ is going to fit in. He doesn't know the playbook that well, so I think Van Jefferson will be more of the number 2 on most plays because Odell learning the playbook and everything, it's going to take some time. I think he's going to be used on more like trick plays and everything like that during that offense. But again, when we say how good the Rams offense is, the defense is even better. It's ridiculous. They got Von Miller, Aaron Donald. You can never forget.
They're saying Von Miller probably will play tonight as well.
Yeah. Yep. So you got them and Jalen Ramsey, best corner in the league. The teams are loaded, and you have, in my eyes, the number 1 head coach in the league in Sean McVay. So I have a total blowout for the Rams over the 49ers tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if it's pretty ugly. I don't think it's as bad as that Chiefs-Raiders game.
I was going to say, my first instant reaction would be 41-14, just like the Raiders-Chiefs game.
Okay.
But that means it's going to be 17-14, a close, low-scoring game. That's the way our predictions normally go.
That's how it goes.
You think it's going to be high-scoring, and it goes close and low. I don't know if it'll be quite the blowout. Jimmy G is still, a good, solid quarterback. He's not a great quarterback, but he's a good, solid quarterback. Actually, one of the shows we did last week, someone said maybe Jimmy G coming to the Eagles next year if Jalen Hurts isn't your guy.
Oh, God,
and that kind of intrigued me a touch just because, I don't know. But, if you're not going to be Jalen Hurts and you need another quarterback, if you can't get Russell Wilson or,
Deshaun
Watson,
you need a little placeholder.
You need a placeholder. You draft somebody and you develop them. That's what Jimmy G is, a placeholder. Yeah. That's what he's doing right now until Trey Lance is ready. I still think the 49ers are just good enough to at least keep it semi-competitive. I'm looking at like a 35, 21, 24, something like that. Double-digit win for the Rams, but that's it. This is a statement game for the Rams. I mean, they got to keep pace with the Packers for the number 1 seed in the NFC. Packers went to 8-2, so they're 7-2. So they need to keep that winning streak going. Even with the loss of Robert Woods, bringing in OBJ, you need Matthew Stafford to, stamp that he's the MVP leader right now in the league right now, and that he is keeping that team together. I think the Rams win this game easily, hands down. Just a little closer than Sunday Night Football. I need a big game tonight too in the DSM league because I'm down 25, but I got Cooper Kupp, I've got Tyler Higbee, and I got the Rams defense. So even though I'm going into Monday Night Football down 25, I'm still like a 60-40% chance to win this week. And
you got it in the bag.
Unstoppable team. Yeah, money in the bag. Cooper Kupp's going to have 1 catch for 4 yards tonight then.
Yeah, how much your brother going to target OBJ?
The 49ers are going to put up 45 points, and my defense is going to score negative points. That's the way it'll go.
Now, what I need, Scotty has Debo, and he needs 4 points to beat me.
Okay.
So unless there is like Debo lays a goose egg, and I can just and stuff I can put. I scored 79 points this week in fantasy.
You guys,
it is my all-time low.
At this moment, I'm projected to have my lowest. I'm the highest for those watching. I am the highest, highest point total in the league, and I've only got 66 points right now. I'm actually down 28, not 25 points. So maybe 28, and I got 3 guys going tonight. But yeah, I am the highest. I'm projected to get 106 points this week, which I normally average like 135, 140.
Right.
So not my best week. A lot of goose eggs this week. But yeah, I mean, like I said, and we didn't even talk Cam Newton back scoring 2 touchdowns yesterday.
Oh, that was exciting.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns. He only played 4 plays, but it was great to see.
You want an overreaction Monday? Cam Newton MVP's back. He's back at MVP.
He will be the starting quarterback before long there.
Yeah,
they're not going to keep running out PJ White or what's his name?
PJ Walker, the XFL star quarterback.
I'm confusing Mike White and PJ Walker. 2 great stud NFL quarterbacks. Cam Newton will be the starter there really soon. And this upcoming week, Cam Newton's got Washington. Ron Rivera. He's going up against his old ball coach there. So that'll be an intriguing story next weekend.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I'll definitely keep my eyes on that game. 100%.
All right. We got lots going on DSM Media this week. This is just the start of the week. We got Scotty Talks NBA. I'm bringing up the notes. I kind of forget now. Oh man, hold on a second. He's got somebody on. He's got Zach Chavo. I think I said that right. Jack Chavo, NBA, coming on Scotty Talks tonight. We'll be back tomorrow morning with Trending in the AM. We got Trending for 4 quarters. We've got DFS. We've got What the Football.
All over the board.
Jason Voorhees will be back with What's Up with the Flyers on Thursday instead of Friday this week.
There you go.
We got so much going on. So make sure you tapped into DSM Media, brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming needs. Trending is the promo code you need to use for 20% off and free shipping. Man, Overreaction Monday. Stay tapped on my Twitter account at Beard and Knowledge, because I'm going to be dropping all different kinds of Overreaction Monday, playoff MVP, all different kinds of jokes and all on there. You realize they're a joke. It's an Overreaction Monday thing. We'll get back to being realistic tomorrow. Jeremy?
Yep, definitely, 100%.
Yeah. Another great show this morning. Thanks for joining. Thanks for everybody that's tuned in. Jay Horwath 11, Beard and Knowledge, at DSM_media. Again, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. We need to get those YouTube numbers up. Yes. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button over there. Turn those notifications on. We greatly appreciate it. And hey, Overreaction Monday is not over, because the Eagles are making the playoffs now. Big win, 30-13 over the Broncos. Yo, it's a great Eagles victory Monday, Jeremy.
It is. Feels great. It feels great.
All right, well, with that, we'll wrap it up and say, I won't be here tomorrow. Scotty will be filling in with me.
Scotty's filling in
for Jeremy, because he's going to have to tag in. I got to have a tooth pulled tomorrow morning. So, yeah, I'm sure I'll be back on Wednesday, like talking like this and everything. Yeah. I'm going to have a swollen mouth. But everybody have a great one. Tune in tomorrow morning for Scotty and Jeremy on Trending in the AM. And go Birds.
Go Birds.